great. Thank you. This evening, we are delighted to have a distinguished guest whom I will introduce just in a short while. And we are also privileged to be looking at something very fundamental, building systems for a family enterprise. And I think we've been on this series for quite a number of weeks. And myself, I think I've listened to a couple of them, and Uncle Stephen Uchora did a great job starting off the series, and he's hinted on several things. And you know, how do you get capital? Where do you start? How do you grow it? And today we will proceed with the conversation. And I remember some of the highlights from his conversations about startup, about the consistency of the vision bearer once the enterprise is starting, and involving the children in the family enterprises. And I believe many of us really have had so many take homes and points to ponder. And so just to make sure that I am my audio is okay, my internet is good, I will request one of us to pray for us, and then to say a prayer or say hello to us, and then we'll start off the evening, and then we will have the interaction towards the end. Okay, so let me see whom I have here. The resident DJ, Paul, could say hello and maybe give us a prayer as we start.
Thank you, Uncle Bob. Let's pray. Lord, we want to say thank you for this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to drink from wells of wisdom. Thank you for Lillian, who is going to minister to us today, and for every member on this call, and those who will listen in even later on to the recording. Lord, we ask you for an anointing, for your presence, for an impartation of your wisdom as we engage today. Welcome into this space, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, Paul. And thank you so much for all that are online. And I will not take so much time. I will jump to our main speaker this evening. We have Miss Lillian Katiso, and I know many of us know her. Yes.
Bob, correction, she's Mrs. Lillian Katiso.
Thank you, Mrs. Lillian Katiso. And we are glad that we have you, Mrs. Katiso, on the call this evening. Lillian is a financial management consultant. I know many of us who usually access much of the content on financial management, personal finance. If you are on YouTube, you definitely have perhaps gotten to see some of her content. She's been appearing in the public space. I was watching one where she appeared for the Uganda Retirement Authority. I've watched her on TV, and she on YouTube, on her profile, she says she's the accountant garden, and rightly so. We are privileged to have you, Lillian. She's an MBA from Heriot-Watt University, with great passion for SMEs, and she's been doing a lot of work in supporting business owners and mentoring different groups in sustainable financial business management. For those in the accounting sector, she's well known. Anaka Uganda Outstanding Contribution to the Accountants and Finance Professional Award winner in 2016. And a number of accolades. I will be getting to them, and I hopefully towards the end I am able to have some 2 minutes to show people around more and more. I've been watching the videos. They are such incredible videos. The incredible videos about her work with little people who want to, you want to modernize your home and add some plants in your home. Very beautiful stuff that I've been watching. Lillian, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce you this evening, and I hope you are having a great day. Good evening.
Good evening, Uncle Bob. How are you doing? And everybody else. Thank you, Mr. Gabula.
Yes. Mr. Gabara is doing a great job. Mr. Gabara, please make sure your internet is good. Make sure you stay online, and make sure your coffee is near you, such that you are my defender and holding midfielder for this evening. Lillian, it's a pleasure for us to have you today, and we are really very hopeful and anticipating to hear from you on this topic on building systems for a family enterprise. The space is yours now.
Thank you very much, Uncle Bob. Thank you, Paul, for DJing, and everybody else who's made time to log in this evening. Thank you very much. As I talk about building a system for a family enterprise, mine I'm still building, so it's still work in progress. So I'm not talking because I'm the expert with the best system, but as normally the preachers tell us that when I am preaching, I'm also preaching to myself. So as I'm sharing, I'm also cognizant that it's still developing systems for my 2 businesses. Zadok Associates, which has been in operation for 17 years now. This is the 18th year, actually. So we started out as a publishing business. We started out by publishing Uganda Healthcare Directory 18 years ago. But then later on, we diversified when I left formal employment to introduce other lines of service through Zadok Associates, that is consultancy and training, specifically focusing on financial management. We also sell QuickBooks accounting software, and we set up systems for businesses, specifically finance and accounting systems for them to be able to efficiently make business decisions using accurate financial data. But also one of the things we do is we realize that many small and medium enterprises don't have the financial or the accounting expertise that they need. They have people who they call accountants, but these people are just playing accounting roles, not necessarily because they are qualified accountants. So at Zadok Associates, we offer what we call CFO on-call services. What that means is you may need the service and the competence of a CFO, but you cannot afford a full-time CFO on your payroll. So we come and support your business, but on a need basis. So only when you need our services do you give us a call, and then we come and attend to you, or build your set up a system for you, or build your team's capacity by training, mentoring, or coaching them, or setting up just a system that you might need to improve on your existing system.
Meanwhile,
so that's one of the businesses. Sorry?
I was saying, and meanwhile, you're speaking the truth. Many of us have people who are playing roles of accountants.
But they are not accountants.
Yes. Please go on.
Okay, yeah. And then the other business, More and More, which Uncle Bob was talking about, is a business that started 8 years ago. It was born out of my gardening hobby, my gardening passion, but it's now become a business that has taken a life of its own, and I thank God for that. And so my sharing is going to be, of course, from the best practice that I've learned over the years of my consultancy work, but also I'll share a bit here and there from the practice that I'm trying to put in my businesses. And the best practice that all of us can adopt. So in any business, it's a continuous progress. It's a continuous development. Every day, as the business grows, you discover, oh yeah, I need to plug in this loophole. I need to build this other component of the system. So it's a work in progress. It's like building an aeroplane when you're flying on it, so to speak. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to share about in the next few minutes that I have. And then hopefully we'll have time for some Q&A for anything that I might miss out. So when you talk about systems, I was thinking of the master system. Yeah, so when Darlene asked me if we can share about business systems, I was just thinking, I think the master system that we can borrow from is God's system. There's a book by Michael Garber. It's called The E-Myth book, The E-Myth Revisited. If you haven't read it and you're a business owner, I really encourage you to read that book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Garber. And in this book, he talks about working on your business instead of working in your business. If you're working in your business, it means like you're always in the kitchen, you're the one doing everything from A to Z, from opening the shop or opening the business to cleaning the floors, to serving the customers, to banking the money, to looking for customers, to making whatever product you're making. Like everything depends on you, the business owner. But then Michael Garber talks about realizing that you as a business owner, you may not be having all the competencies that you need. So you have to identify which roles you need to play as an entrepreneur. Or if you want to be the technical expert in your business, then you have to get another person who supports you. You get a manager to run the business. So you have to have like all the 3 key roles running in your business so that you're working on your business and not in your business. When you work in your business, you are very operational, and then you end up losing out on some of the strategic areas that you want your business to work on. And so what God did in the 7 days of creation, I thought this was a nice summary of the story of creation, which you can get from the first chapter of Genesis up to the second chapter of Genesis, the first 3 chapters. So it summarizes how God did the entire creation. Okay, so he created day and night, which as form a cycle, like God doesn't keep on switching on the light in the morning. Now day has come, he switches on the light, then at night he switches it off, it's nighttime. No, the system works automatically because he set it up at the foundations of the earth. He set up the seasons as well, so that we have the rainy season, we have the dry season, we have the seasons when we have crops being planted, when crops are being are growing, crops are being you end up having a harvest. It's a system that happens, okay, so that it works so smoothly, so seamlessly, that he doesn't have to intervene on a day-to-day of the operation. If I say that the operations of the earth, God doesn't intervene. He set up the system and he rolled it working. Even the system of making sure that there's more than Adam and Eve on earth, he created a system that made sure that Adam and Eve have the ability to multiply, and their descendants have ability to multiply, and we are still multiplying today and filling the earth. And so God doesn't intervene in creating another Eve or creating another Adam. He created the 2 of them, set up a system in place, and now it is just working. So the same way God set up the foundations of the earth and created a system for the earth to operate without his intervention, in the same way, ideally, we should create systems in our businesses that they can work without you being there literally. The business that can work without you opening the doors yourself and closing the doors yourself, meeting all the customers yourself, that is a business that has a system that can run on its own. And that is what Michael Garber talks about, working on your business to establish the system so that you don't have to work in your business all the time. So that is God's creator master system, which I think we can borrow a lot from and apply in our business. But then there's also now what we have in our business systems that if we look at these areas and work on them, we can have our businesses running smoothly without us having to be there all the time, okay? And the areas we're going to look at are also 7, not like the 7 days of creation, but just they are coincidentally 7. So there's a strategic management, which is giving direction to the business. There's the marketing, there's the sales, there's operations, administration, cash flow, management of people, and we're going to go into the details of each and every one of these segments. So while businesses come in all different shapes and sizes, they're essential systems that every business must have to be successful. In a nutshell, systems are a way that things that makes things be done in a business. The core systems and subsystems within provide a framework on how the business should be operated. While when you start out your business, you can wing it, as we normally call it. But as the business grows, you need to have a system, because you find that you have many people working and they need to be told what to do. When I started out more and more 8 years ago, the first day I employed my first employee, and I had to be there to tell her what to do, show her everything, from potting the plant, to selling them, to taking care of them and everything. But with time, now that I have more than 15 employees, I can't be there teaching each and every one of them. So we have a system of onboarding a new person, teaching them how to work, and so that everybody can do things by themselves without being micromanaged. Because if everything depends on only one person, it's hard for you to scale your business. Now at More and More, we have 3 outlets, and that would not have been possible if there was no system of making the business work, because you have one outlet working and then you replicate that to the next outlet, replicate that to another outlet. But if you've not worked on the systems of the business, it's hard to have that multiplier effect. It's hard to scale up your business. So a system helps you to create control. It guides priorities, it creates predictability, generates accountability, and a way of measuring success. How do you know that your business is doing well? How do you know that your business is growing in the right path? If your systems are in your head, as most of our small businesses systems are, they are all in your head. You know them in your head. You don't really have a system until you have documented and written it down and can be executed by somebody else. You do not have a system. However big your business is growing, if the business systems are all resident in your head as a business owner, then you do not have a system. So once it is documented into procedures, these systems become easier to manage, improve, and monitor. So your system should ensure that you're not wasting time. Every time you need to take action, then you have to go back to remember, how was this thing done? You create consistency by having systems. In a nutshell, a system can be applied over and over again. As we've talked about the creation story, God did the whole setup of the system in 6 days. It was done. And he's never gone back to creating another human being from how he created Adam. When he set up the system and had Adam and Eve on earth, the rest of humanity came from them. Even for the other animals, the rest of them, they're reproducing themselves in their own kind, okay? Even the plants, he put seed in them, and the seed creates procreation for the next type of plant that needs to come out. The same way in our businesses, how do you create a system that makes it work like a clock, okay? Yes, so that's how the system should be. And we're going to look at 7 systems that every business must have to be successful. So this diagram is just showing you how it all works and all connects together. So the first thing you have to have is strategy. So strategy is a high-level, long-term plan to achieve your goals. Where do you see your business? Where do you see the enterprise that you have? Where do you see it in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Because that informs how you run it, okay? I meet some businesses when I was starting, actually, when I was starting More and More 8 years ago. I started from home, of course. And one of the things that I did, I had to go and register the business. I had to do everything that needed to be done legally, getting trading license and all those different things. And I remember someone was saying, no, when you start having TIN numbers, trading license, all those different things, you're exposing yourself, to the URA and all those authorities, and then it's going to eat up your business money. But what they do not know, if your business is to scale up, you still have to do these different things. So because I had a long-term plan for the business, I was able to do those different things, thinking, in the future, if this business was to grow, what should be in place now for it to grow smoothly? But if you don't want the business to grow and you want it to be a small-time thing, then of course you don't have to have a strategic direction for it, because it will be let me give an analogy, since I do plant a lot. Even the Bible talks about it. So there's those plants that wither, they don't have deep roots, so they wither overnight. But then those that are deep-rooted, where you embedded systems and build structures and systems, they are more strong and they can last longer. The same way with your business. The more robust the systems, the more stronger the business can run. So you have to have a strategy that directs that. You have to have a system in place that sets the processes, procedures, and routines that work together to she was saying that because the people she had employed could not consistently produce the cake in the quality that she wanted, and she realized, no, for her, her reputation was higher, was greater than having cake for the sake of cake. She wanted a particular way that the cake is being done. And so in your business, do you have a particular way things are being done? If you're offering a service, is it consistently offered, or it depends on who you find that day and the mood in which you find them? So all those different things define the sustainability of your business, but it has to be systemized, okay? So that other people can be able to do it. So the first of the 7 systems that a business should have for success is the strategic management system. So this sets the direction of the business and spells the overall goal of the business. So the management system gives everybody a direction. As we normally talk about having visions, having missions for your business. It sounds like it's a cliche or it's like a complex thing to do. But even when the business is still small, in your eyes of faith, where do you see your business? Okay, it starts from seeing in your eyes of faith. Okay, as we say, faith is, Mr. Kabula, faith is what, as the Bible tells us. I'm going to indulge you because you're the one who started.
Faith is a substance of things hoped for. Hallelujah.
Amen. Things hoped for.
Not yet seen.
Evidence of things not yet seen. Okay.
Yeah.
So those things that you hope for in your business, you have to see them in your eyes of faith. Even if you've not yet seen them, you have to have evidence. It is the evidence of things not yet seen. So even if you've not yet written, it starts by you seeing in your eyes of faith. I remember when I started out Mawo and Mo, I was like, I should be having Mawo and Mo in every mall in the city. Of course, it looked like a big shot having a business running from home. But 8 years later, I actually have 3 outlets. Okay, but it started from seeing from my eye, from my eyes of faith. Now that you're talking about business, family enterprises, have you passed on that vision to your other family members? If your business is a family business, have you onboarded your other family members into that vision so that all of them buy into it, pray into it, and support you in that business? I've always shared whatever I desire for the business with my husband, even if he's not directly involved in Mawo and More, but everything I want to do about it, I talk to him about it, and of course he supports me in prayer on it. For Zadok Associates, we run it both of us together. And for that one, we also share together where we want it to go. Whenever we're introducing a new product or going to a new service area, we talk about it and discuss it. So as a family in the business, do you discuss those different things? The strategic direction of your business, do you discuss that? But also you have to involve other people in that. You create a buy-in, because you'll find that even if it's a family business, unless your family is really, really big, you reach a place where you have to get other people in the business that are not your family members. You have to onboard other people in your business that are not your family members. But also you might find that the skill sets that you need are not entirely in your family. So you have to get other people outside your family. I normally say, as much as it's a family business, don't give people roles because they are your blood relatives. Give them roles because they are competent in that role. So if you want your sons and daughters to be in the business, have you equipped them with the right skill set for the role that you want them to play? I got my first job in 1999. And in this job, the owner was an Indian, and he was the MD, and the finance director was the daughter of the MD. But that lady had an MBA in finance, had CPA. She was not the finance controller because she was the daughter of the MD. No, she was a finance controller because she was competent in that role. So when we want to bring our family members in the business, we have to already, how do you say? We have to make sure that they are competent for the role that we want them to be, but also the culture of them running that business. Have you given them how do you say, the professional etiquette that you want the business to run, so that it's not just, I don't know, it's good to have a family business, but it should not just be talked of as a family business, but it should be a professionally run family business. And that is determined by the strategic direction that you create for your business.
You're shaking some tables. You're shaking some tables. Please continue.
Hope it's not yours. The second one is marketing system, otherwise known as the lead generation system. For marketing to be effective, you need to start thinking of marketing as a set of actions to achieve a marketing goal. When these actions are combined, they become your marketing system. A marketing system is a routine that you execute as a defined marketing strategy to generate business. There's someone who said that the best known product sells better than the best product. Uncle Bob, do you understand that statement? The best known product sells better than the best product.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
The product which is well known will sell better than the best product which is just on the shelves.
No one knows about this. Thank you for your indulgence. Yes. So even if you're making the sweetest, yummiest cakes on the planet Earth and no one knows about it, you will not be able to have a business. Okay. So it is creating awareness of your delicious cakes, telling everybody know about your cakes that actually will enable the cakes to go. So even if you're running a family business, you have to identify who in your family can be able to do the marketing function for your business. If no one in your family can be able to do that, find a way of that happening. I started Maua and Mo actually from Facebook, from social media, just by posting flowers on social media until actually I launched the business and started running the business. But even 8 years later, every single day, we have a post going out marketing the business. We have a post going out marketing more and more every single day on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, every single day. I'm not saying that your businesses should be in all these platforms. You have to identify what is the nature of your business and which is the best place where it can be seen, where it can be heard. For Zadok Associates, which is more on a professional side of things, we don't have, for example, we don't have an Instagram account, because our product is not a visual product for you to see. So as much as Maua and Mo is doing well on Instagram because we're selling a visual product that people can see, as for Zadok Associate, we don't have an Instagram account because we are selling a service, as much as we could still do if you so wanted. But LinkedIn works best for that, because now in LinkedIn, people value. LinkedIn is for professionals who value thought leadership, okay, who value professionalism. So the trainings that we offer, if we have Accountancy 360 for accountants, most of them sign up from LinkedIn. If we have management of business finances training, most of them we find them on LinkedIn. If you want QuickBooks to be sold, we find them on LinkedIn and also on Facebook. So you can do a survey and find out the nature of the service you're offering, the nature of the of the products that you're offering, where is the best place that it can be found. But you can't keep it within the business. You have to let the whole world know what you're offering so that they can also come and buy in. So on the screen is different options for you to consider, and you can pick what works best for your business, okay? The sales system. So marketing is just creating awareness of the products that you have, but then you have to convert people. You have to convert these people who are now aware of your products to actually come and sell, rather buy. They have to come to your business and buy. So how do you engage them to actually become your customers? How do you engage them to be patrons for your business? Okay. So for your sales system to be effective, think about the sales action that you carry out to achieve your sales goal. When these actions are combined, they become your sales system. How do you engage your customers? How do you relate with them? How do you convert them from just prospects to people who actually buy from you? So depending on the nature of your business, you have to identify how do you then do this? Because beyond building a family enterprise, you have to build a sustainable enterprise. So if no one is buying your products or services, then you don't have a business. Yeah. There's a course I train for in entrepreneurship, and we say, if you're starting a business, if there's no sales, you just don't have a business. It's until you can make a sale that you have a business. It's until you can convince a soul to give you their money in return for your service or product that you actually have business. And then you have to have the fourth of the 7 systems is the operation system. This is your order delivery system if you're delivering goods, or your client fulfillment system if you're offering a service, or your production system if you're producing something. If you're making cakes, you're sewing dresses, you're, I don't know, whatever you're doing, what is your process of producing this thing that you're offering the market? Okay. So this function is very, very important in your business because it controls the quality and the consistency of the delivery that you're offering. It should not be, if I still use the cake example, it should not be like this time the cake is really nice, the next time the cake is soggy, the next time the cake is dry, the next time the cake is like, there's so much inconsistency. But because you'll find, as I've seen in most of our businesses in Uganda or in Africa, you cannot guarantee that the same stuff, you can have them for 20 or 30 years, okay? So because of the high turnover of staff, sometimes you have to make sure that you have a system that guides people on consistency of your product offering, on consistency of your service offering. Even if it's a business, a family business, that person, and you're running a family bakery, the person in your family that is doing the bakery should be the best person for that role. They should not be running the bakery because they are your daughter or your son or your wife or your auntie or your uncle or your whatever it is. They should be running a function because they are the most competent person to do that role. Okay, so let's identify the strengths that we have in our families and deploy people to the roles that are best for them. If there's someone who has an inclination for that particular role, but right now they're not competent for the role, then take them to training so that they can understand the role and execute on that particular role. So identifying your operating system means that you have to map your procedure from when the product is sourced, the whole process production until it is packaged to be delivered to a customer. What is that entire process involved? And who are the people in the line of, the whole production process, and are all of them competent to do the right thing? So that system has to be documented as much as is possible. If you can't document it, then you can find a way of passing it on. One of the businesses that I visited, what she decided to do is to record. She'll record audios. I think, she'll do either audios or videos of the different systems, because she thought, like, every time I get a new stuff, I don't want to repeat myself. So the onboarding process will be for you to watch a series of videos for you to understand how they operate. But even for the more established businesses, when you go there, they'll give you a manual. For employees, there's an employee manual to guide you on how to conduct yourself as an employee, which means for every area of your business, there has to be a manual directing. If you want your business to grow, there has to be a manual directing people on how to run the affairs of the business. The fifth of the 7 systems is administration. So the administration system refers to the process or activities behind the scenes that run of running a business. Administration can be subjective because the meaning is different to everybody depending on the nature of your business. But just think about it like the engine in the room for your business, okay? How do you have your IT system being managed? How do you have your documents managed? If someone wants a document for something, do you take ages to get them? Like now, URA can come and say, we are coming to audit you. And when they come to audit you, they audit you 5 years back. Now they'll ask you for all your documents for the last 5 years. How do you easily retrieve and get those documents? How is your inventory management system? Do you wake up and, you're out of stock, or do you have a system that predicts stock is going to run out, you start replenishing it? Do you have a system that checks that you have enough stock, but also that checks you don't have too much stock as well, because it ties up your working capital? So that has to be defined as well. And then you have to have a cash flow system. This is the sixth system. The cash flow system is more like your finance system. It's a lifeblood of the business, as it manages all the money matters in your business. I normally say that without money, then the business cannot run. However, Mr. Gabula, which is the best car in, which is the latest model of a car?
Model in which brand?
Hey, mama, just the best car, like, this is the best car. Not Tesla, but yeah.
There's a BMW 2023 that is out. It is solid.
Oh, it is solid. Now, if that BMW has an empty fuel tank, how far does it go?
Nowhere.
Exactly. So even our businesses, if they do not have a system that tells you your fuel is running low, you need to refuel, your cash is running low, you need to replenish more cash, that business will come to a standstill, like that BMW without fuel. So in our business, we have to have a way of anticipating the cash needs of the business when they fall due, and we make sure that we have it. Many businesses fail, not because they are not profitable, but because the cash ran out. So then they ran out of the runway for the business to continue running. So you have to have a system of tracking. If your business sells on credit, meaning that you give people things and they pay later on, you have a system of tracking this, because many of the challenges that we have as family businesses, your family members come to buy things from your business, and they do not pay, or they do not remember to pay, or they forget to pay, or one of the above. Is there a discipline that everybody has to pay? Yes, Emma, you have unmuted yourself.
They quote the script, let those who have no money come and buy.
Where should they come and buy from your business? So now, so I sell plants. I love plants. But even if I go to my shop and I want that particular plant, I have to pay for it. If it so happens that I don't have the money to pay for it at that time, they actually issue me an invoice, and they actually call me and say, do you have to pay this invoice? It's outstanding. So they know that I cannot pick a plant from the shop without paying it. And that also creates a culture that even the employees know we don't pick plants without paying for them. There's a time my son, Yaniv, is 10 years old. He wanted, that time, I think it was about 8. So he liked a plant at the shop, and he wanted the plant. And he's like, Mommy, can I take this plant? And I asked him, do you have the money to pay for it? He's like, he doesn't have the money to pay for it. So I gave him 2 options. You either wait until you have the money to pay for it, or you borrow money from Mommy to pay for it. Okay, so of course he borrowed money from Mommy to pay for it. But even my staff know that even my son cannot pick something from the shop without paying for it. Many a times we run down our family businesses because it is my business. I can pick anything that I want anytime and use it anyhowly. So you have to have a system of managing your stock, managing your business, but even getting money out of your business. Because you're a business owner, do you just pick money because it is your business? No. For both my businesses, I'm in the payroll. For Zadok Associates, both of us, me and my husband, we're in the payroll. So we get a salary and we spend from the salary that we have. You don't just wake up and say, today I feel like going wherever I want to go, and I just go get money from the business. You have to have a system. If you do not have a system of managing your finances, 2 things can happen. Your business will run down your finances, like your savings, because you're not tracking that, or you will run down your business because you're taking all the money out of it. So you have to have a system that even your employees can hold you accountable to. Because if you do not have a system, it means anything goes, anyone asks for money, and because you fear the boss, you just give them the money because they have come and they want the money, and you give them the money because it is their business. But the system guards you, protects you as well from, taking money that you do not need out of the business, or that you're not entitled to get out of the business, but also protects your workers from getting money from the business, whichever way they want, but also protects you from your relatives. If they know as a policy that no one takes things from that shop or from that business without paying for it, then they know they will not do that. Otherwise, I've had so many stories of people whose businesses have been run down because of family. Yeah. So who want you, if you run a kiosk and you're eating from the kiosk, everything you need, from bread, sugar, everything, you just go pick from the kiosk. No, you have to be able to track. Every time you need to get something from your business, you have to make sure that you can pay the business back, okay? It's very, very important. So a system that tracks how the sales are coming in, a system that tracks how expenses are being managed, a system that predicts when you need cash to be injected in the business, a system that tracks when you have too much cash that needs to be invested. That system helps your business. Now, if in your family you have the competency of any of these roles, please deploy those people to do that thing, okay? I had the competency to do bookkeeping because I'm an accountant. But as the business grew, I had to employ an accountant because I just didn't have the time to do the accounting. But when the business is starting and maybe the family has no one competent to do it, by all means, get someone to support you from outside. But there is no shortcut in having a system to manage your finances if you want a sustainable business. And last but not least is the people management system, as we call it, HR or human resource system. Your people are your assets. Their performance and their happiness equate heavily to your success or your failure as a business. So your people management system assists in a whole range of management, including recruitment, ongoing support, direction, benefits, and training. And the focus of these processes is to hire the right people and bring the best out of them. As Jim Collins says in his book, Good to Great, you have to hire the right people. After you've hired these right people, you have to give them the right roles. They're saying you have to bring people into the bus, but when they're in the bus, give them the right seats on the bus. So if these are your family members, make sure that you have a way of hiring them, communicate what their roles are, what their responsibilities are. Because if you do not give them job description, or if the roles and responsibilities are not clearly articulated, how then do you do an appraisal for them? When they're sloppy on their jobs, how do you reprimand a family member? You understand? So it's important, especially for HR, because that's where the family members tend to come in. Does everybody know what their roles are? Do you give people the roles that befit their competence, their personality, their skill set? I do trainings for Zadok Associates, so I do most of the trainings. And so I love training. I'm happy to train and put the content out there for training. But one thing I am not happy to do is to call people up to remind them to come for training. And because someone fills in a form and they know the treat of the training, they know the content of the training and everything. And then you call them the day before the training, like, which training? When is it? What time is it? And I'm thinking, honestly, you signed up for this. You filled in the information yourself. Now, because I realized I don't have the grace for that. Okay, my husband realized that I don't have the grace for that. He took on that role. When we have a training coming up, I just give him the list of the people to confirm that they are going to come and attend, so that me, when I show up to training, I am not thinking you forgot that the training was today. So then you divide your roles depending on your competencies, the grace that God has given you to do it, so that together you complement each other and do the business. So you don't just do the role because the role has to be there, but are you the best suited person for that particular role? But even if you're not the best suited person, can you get training to be the best for that particular role? Because we talk about family businesses, then how do we train each family member? Okay, first, we identify the needs, the training needs, we identify the gaps, the competency gaps, and then we assign the person who is best for marketing. So if you find someone who likes talking to people, then you know that person is best suited for sales and a marketing role. Train them for the sales and marketing role. If you find someone who doesn't like talking to people so much, but they have attention to detail, you know that one can make a good accountant. And so take them and train them in an accounting function. Someone who is having the gift of administration, identify that person and build their competency in that particular role. So as a family, do you identify the competencies that you have in the different members of the family? But then how do you skill them so that they're not in the business because they are family members, but they're in business because they are rightfully competent for the different roles that they need to play in the business, okay? So those are the 7 systems key foundational systems that we need to have in our businesses if we want our businesses to thrive and be sustainable. But of course, there are some other subcategories or subsystems that we need to consider. Legal systems. If you have a lawyer in your family, praise God. If you do not have, don't fear to hire a legal counsel, because you'll find that most of the time when you need a legal support, it's not an everyday thing that you need, but you need to know, I need a lawyer to review a rent agreement or a rent contract. I need a lawyer to maybe review some employee contracts or something like that. You need to know, identify who can you reach out for, who is in charge of your compliance systems and things like that, who is in charge of your procurement and purchasing, who is in charge of your IT systems. Talking about procurement and purchasing. So one of the companies that I'm offering CFO on call services, it's a family business. So this family business, ideally you're thinking a family business, every family member should be having the best interest of the family at heart. So I would think, or so I used to think until I went to this particular business. And then I discovered the person who is in charge of procurement, who is a sister to the, let me call the MD of this business, will just get, I don't know, will just get people to supply things, and then I don't know, she was just manipulating the whole procurement system. And when I discovered what was happening, I'm thinking, goodness, this is the sister of the owner of this business, but she's trying to see how to enrich herself on the side, you know. But then if they did not have, because they did not have a system, all these things were going on and no one was dictating, because all of us are family members and all of us are praising God and going to heaven, but our business is falling apart. How do you have control systems that checks that things are being done the right way, even if they're your family members? Yes, I know you trust them, they're your blood relatives, but you know, someone said that you just do not know someone's capability of whatever bad they can do until they are maybe tempted or they're exposed to that particular possibility. So for this particular family business, most of the things that are going wrong are actually being done by the family members. For some of the family members, they just didn't have the competency. There's a family member who was in charge of finances, but she's never gone to any accounting training. So I said, okay, this person is not competent for this role. Could you give them another role? They said no, because there is payroll to be managed. She's the only one who can keep the secrets of the payroll. And so she's doing the payroll role because she's the wife of the person in charge of finance, I don't know, the finance function of the business. But now they ended up having a lot of messes by the time the audit came. You see, so yeah, so you put people in a role because they can deliver on the role, not because they are a relative. As much as we're talking about family enterprises, let us have our family members that we want in our family enterprises having the competency to run the roles that we give them. But above all, can we have checks and balances? Can we have control systems that make people accountable? Just because they're your family members, that means that they cannot be accountable. How do you make every family member in the business accountable to each other? Okay. If we do not have internal control systems, then you'll find that the family itself is the one that is sabotaging itself. You know, you've heard of those situations where the body attacks itself. It's a condition that is a bad condition. That's why it's called a disease. So if a family business is not having the right systems in place, the right accountability in place, the right internal controls in place, you'll find that it is actually the family members that are actually destroying the business. So let's have systems that gives us checks and balances. Let's have systems that uphold accountability. Let's have systems that plugs in all the different loopholes that could be there. If someone makes a mistake, that's a different thing. But if someone deliberately is sabotaging the system, then of course that's a challenge. And there's something that Jim Collins said about build to last. You have to identify who are the people who are on board in this particular business and create the culture of integrity, the culture of the culture of integrity has to be passed across from the owner of the business to every other family member that comes in there, okay? So that they know that even if you're in this business, then you have to be accountable, okay? And there are those non-negotiables. There are those non-negotiables that we cannot allow, so that people know that even if I'm a family member, I can also be fired if I am not delivering to what I'm supposed to deliver, okay? So that's a summary, I think, for the time that I was given. My time is up in the systems. I'm happy to take on questions, but without systems, you don't have a business. You are the business, okay? So let's endeavor to have systems if you want our businesses to be built to last, as Jim Collins talks about. So Uncle Bob, I think I'm open to questions so that I don't run out of your time that you're looking at me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lillian. So much wisdom in about 30 minutes. Yeah, and sure, you've been shaking some tables, and it's good that you shake them when the drinks are still cold, because when the hot ones have been served, it will be interesting. Thank you very much, and thank you to everyone who is in. I see people sending in comments online, and please feel free to type in. I will just open up to us to ask some questions, but also feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll be able to read it through, especially if you know you are in an area where the network is a little bit low. Make systems work, document your systems, and a lot there's a lot you've shared about systems helping us create sustainability. You know, there is a notion in Uganda about what we call the briefcase companies. So you meet a business owner, and he is the alpha and the omega of that business. He's the accountant. He's the one who does the procurement forms. He knows how to fill them. He's the one who knows who the clients are, and no one else but except him or her. And also talking into working with family. You know, it's a gray area, and there's so much that we are learning, because I know that for many of us, the systems that we have built is, if the husband is the president, or then perhaps the wife is automatically the finance manager, the daughter is the HR. So these are things that are really happening, and thank you. And there's lots that has been shared. And so let me jump straight such that we are able to catch up on our time. I'll just pick up one by one. I want to see anyone who wants to raise out a question before I pick the ones that I have in the chat room. Please unmute yourself and just go straight ahead. And maybe as they do, let me just pick up one over here. This is from Immaculate. How do you put up these systems for a startup? How long can you give yourself? Because I'm thinking when you are starting, there is a lot of grappling here and there. So that's one. You could just note that down. Lee says very informative and helpful. Thank you, Mrs. Katiso. And these are the comments. Then Doreen says, how does one transition from employment to business enterprise? Now, that is something also on the side that we can think about. Mr. Gavula, great job, Lillian. Thank you so much. Blessed is the man who is your husband and your business partner. And those are blessings to you, Mrs. Katiso. So let me just thank you. There is a lot of appreciation in the chat room. Thank you. So just pick up on those two as we pick up on others.
Okay, thank you, Immaculate. So good question. It's like a shoe, like, you know, if you're young, I'm just giving an example. So you keep on going to the next, depending on how you feel the shoe is tight, then you keep on going to the next size, until you get to a place where now you're no longer your shoe size is not changing. But as you're growing, when a child is young, their shoe sizes keep on going with age until at some point they are mature, and then the shoe doesn't continue to become any bigger. The same way with business. So when I started more and more, if I use that as an example, I started it from home. So when it was from home, I was doing most of the different things myself, and sometimes my house help will help me. Then when I opened the first outlet, now I started, so I needed now an employee, the first employee. So we had to divide the roles between these two, myself and the employee. So I had to identify what is it that she could do. I could easily tell her to do, and she would do that, and then I would still support. And as the business grew, then I needed now more people. So you'll see as the business grows, the demand grows, then you find that you have to keep on bringing in the people. So you can't start out also, I think that's also a danger. If you just start out and you have all the systems at once that for them, then of course, again, you'll find you're spending too much money in something that you bought that are expensive that you do not need. So for example, when I started out, I was doing the bookkeeping myself. I was doing all the social media posting myself. I was taking the photos myself. I was doing like a lot of those different things myself. Now, as the business grew and I could afford to employ other people, so you have to see if you have the ability to afford. If you don't have the ability to afford, you have to do everything yourself until you can afford. So each time when I could be able to afford to employ other people and empower other people, so I kept on employing other people and empowering other people. So as the business grew, I don't know at what point, I don't know, I'm trying to see the timeline. So maybe when it was about 5 years for more and more, then I realized now some of the people are competent. So when I had only one employee, there was no supervisor for them. But when I got 3 employees, I realized managing 3 people, all of them reporting to me, became tricky. So I made one of them the supervisor of the other 2. And then as they became 5, and then we got to the second outlet, now it became now tricky for the supervisor of the 3 could now not manage the 2 outlets. So I had to employ a manager. But by this time, the business had grown and could be able to afford a manager. So when I started earlier, I could not start with employing a manager. It was going to be a very expensive thing to do. But because now the business had grown, it could afford to employ a manager. And so we employed a manager, and then the business grew and the transactions became so many that I could not keep up with the bookkeeping myself, so I had to employ an accountant. So the business will keep on telling you when you need support in the different areas. So the things that you cannot afford someone to do, then you still have to do them yourselves, or you get someone to do it part-time. Okay, I don't know if I've answered you, Immaculate, but you have to keep on growing. So for example, in regard with all the different systems that I talked about, the social media management, I was doing that for a long time. Then COVID happened. Sometimes the silver lining in some of these different things. So COVID happened, and people were at home and the shops were closed. But then I didn't want to fire any of my staff. So what I told them, because you guys are at home and I don't want to fire you, you have to do something when you're at home. You have to work from home. So one of them said she can be able to generate the social media posts because she was inclined to doing that. So because she had the competence to do that, she would generate the content. She'll send them by me. I'll approve, and then she'll post them on social media. The other person, I told her, okay, now for you, since you can share them in the groups, you can just do the sharing of the things in the group. Now, by the time lockdown was over, I had completely handed over the social media management to somebody else, okay? So you just keep on empowering them bit by bit until they're able to do it. Now, as the business grew, it reached a point where now I was like, okay, now we need actually a sales and marketing person who's like, is in charge of the sales and marketing function now that we had 3 outlets. And so this year, February, we employed a sales and marketing person. What I'm trying to say is you don't start the business by employing all these different roles. When the business is small, you'll find even the effort that is needed for the different roles is not so much. But as the business grows and you can afford, then you keep on growing and growing those different things. For example, an accounting system. You might start with a very complex accounting system that is very expensive, but when the business is small and has few transactions, just use a good old spreadsheet. Yeah. So you have a spreadsheet that you're using until the business can afford an accounting system, then you can have an accounting system. I hope, Immaculate, I've answered your question. So it's a continuous thing that you keep on doing. On is it Doreen's question on transitioning? Transitioning from employment into business. I think everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own journey, so there's no copy and paste. I can only share my journey, but everybody has their own journey. But what I think is good to do is do not leave employment if the business cannot sustain you. Okay? So there's sometimes people who have seen they leave their employment to go into their business because their business is paying them higher than what they were earning in employment. But when I was running Mawa, and more people would ask me, why don't you leave and go and you be full-time in Mawa? And when I said I cannot leave because my employment is still paying me much more money than the business can afford. So you wait until you've built the business to the level where it can afford you, because remember, when you're in employment, the salary you're earning has given you a certain level of what? A living what? Yeah. Lifestyle, yeah, a certain level of, yeah, the lifestyle that you're living, yeah. So are you able to maintain that lifestyle when you go into your business? If you're not able to maintain that lifestyle in your business, then stay there with your employment because it is giving you more money. I believe earning, God provides from different ways, from being an employee or from being in business, okay? So there's no need of leaving your employment to go and suffer in business if the business cannot be able to sustain you. So I took time before I left employment to now go fully into my business until I realized that, okay, this business can be able to support me. Then that's when I left employment to go into the business. So the simple answer is, can the business support your lifestyle? If it can support your lifestyle, then leave employment and go into business. But if the business is giving you 10% of what you're earning in your in your employment, then stay there and continue building this business on the side. I built More and More as a weekend business for a long time on the side. For Zadok Associates, I was doing consultancies over the weekends for a long time until it reached a point where it could be able to sustain both of us. And yeah, I hope Doreen have answered your question on that.
Surely, very comprehensively. Thank you, Mrs. Katiso. And points for us to ponder. If you are in a startup, it's brick by brick, really. As you explained it, kind of reminded me of our old folk tale of it's not like the old Chief Kakande we used to study about, the one who was born on Monday, went to school on Tuesday, and by the time he reached on Sunday, he was being buried. So it may not grow up in a week's time. In a very short time, it will grow up brick by brick. Thank you so very much. So many coming in. Mr. Gabra is saying, do you need a security guard? Is it in the organogram? Okay, thank you.
I think he had another question before the security guard.
Yeah, there is
about personalities, right?
Yes. Some personalities don't want structures and order and systems. I don't know what you mean by personalities, Mr. Gabara. You may need to be a little bit specific. They believe it's an act of limiting faith. What practical counsel can you share?
So I think, as I said, it's more like identify people's strengths and putting them there. So the person like Mr. Gabula, I'm assuming you're the one who like the structures and the systems. You put them in the place that they need so much structures and systems. Don't put him in the finance department that needs structures and systems. But we're talking about family enterprise. And the beauty about God's creation, there's a way he creates all of us differently. Yeah. So you'll find that if in the family, there's this person who thrives in chaos, there's the other person who does the opposite, organizes the things. It's always, I mean, that's how people end up getting married. You find that you're marrying someone who is opposite of you. So if you're a chaotic person, you'll find that the person you married is non-chaotic. I don't know the word for opposite of, is more organized, yeah? So, but also you find the person who is more organized and structured might be not very ambitious and like wild in time, dreaming wild, yeah? Yet you need the person who has a lot of faith to believe God for the next thing, to believe God for the big thing. So you don't suppress your ability to dream, your faith. You bring it in, but it is just tempered by this other person. Because if both of you are not dreamers, then your business will not grow. It takes a lot of faith. Some of the how do you call it? Some of the steps that I've taken, it's just been by faith that, okay, God, I'm going to go into this. I believe I'm going to be able to afford. So the first time that we opened a shop in a mall, and the rent was in dollars, I'm like, wow, God, I just believe that I'm going to be able to pay this rent and I'm going to be able to pay these workers. So there's a level of faith that is needed in business. If you're not a faith person, actually, you can't go in business. So there's a level of faith that is needed in business. Every day you open your door, having faith that clients are going to come there. So there's a level of faith that is needed. So that person is needed there in the business. But also the other person, to make sure that things are structured and organized, are also needed. So you make sure, if you are not structured, employ someone who is structured to help with the structuring of the business. You need both. You need both of them for the business to thrive. I hope I've answered answered that question. Yeah.
Yes, I can see Mr. Gabara nodding in affirmation, and rightly so. You've highlighted so very many things, and I want to thank everyone who is online. I want to thank you so much, Mrs. Katiso, for this. I've been noting down, and I believe, Darlene, we are able to access this and pick out so much administration, the administration systems. You talked about it. Yes, yes.
You were saying you believe who? Darlene or Darling?
Darlene. Perhaps she's going to share the recording. You talked about the inventory system. You reminded me of a colleague who was telling me they went to a restaurant and they brought the menu and made an order. They asked for pork, they asked for fries, and some African tea. So after about 5 minutes, the waiter came back and said, "I'm sorry, we've run out of Irish, so we will not have the we will not have the fries." And said, "No, it's okay. What else do you have?" So they made another order. You can bring it with something else. And person went off. About 15 minutes later, the person came back. "I'm sorry, pork is finished." So the inventory, very, very key. And I believe that every one of us who is online really has had something to take home. So thank you very much. Mrs. Katiso, I want to give you, just if you want to wrap it up before I call it to an end. What would, if you could wrap it up?
Okay, thank you very much, family, for inviting me to share, because all of us, I believe, already have many things that we know, just that you gave me the opportunity for the mic today. I recommend that we read E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. It helps you to appreciate the need for systems. The need for systems, that's a must-read book for every business owner. If you want to appreciate the needs for systems, you read that book, E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber. Of course, the traditional book, Good to Great, you should read that one as well. Identifying the right skill set to put them in the right place. And also Built to Last is also a very great book to read in terms of bringing the culture into the business so that everybody is doing the right thing in the right way. So I think those are recommended books that I think every business owner should be able to read. But of course, if you want to apply also your faith so that you're not limiting yourself in the business because of structures and everything. Structures are there, but you also have to have your eyes of faith lifted up. The Power of Positive Thinking by Vincent Peale is a very, very nice read as well for you to read. Polite, you want more books? Yeah. So The Power of Positive Thinking is a great book for you to read. Another book, if you still want another book to read, is Profit Fast, if you want another book to add on that. But there are many, 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 many books that you can read.
I should
for your
start
business.
with the profits. I should start with
Profits Fast. But maybe something else that I have to say is, of course, as you build your business, you trust it in God. Everything is God who gives you. It's the God who gives you the power to make wealth. And I believe he gives you the power to make wealth by giving you the ideas and how to implement them, gives you the people that support you, your support system, and he gives you the resources for that. And whatever dream that he has given you, he'll give you the resources to be able to fulfill that dream, to make it pass. When you go into business, as you grow, there's lots of challenges that come ahead. By the way, let me tell you, the more you grow, the more the challenges that come. But you remind God that, God, you're the one who gave me this idea. You cannot bring me this far to fail me. So you have to do a lot of prayer. As the business grows, the prayer also has to grow. So it is by prayer that we keep our businesses, because competing in business for someone who wants to do the right thing and competing against people who don't want to do the right thing is very, very hard. I pay my full taxes, but some of the people who import things that I import, they don't pay full taxes. But then I'm like, God, you still have to make me be able to sell these things, because I don't want to not to pay full taxes. You find a lot of different things that they don't do the right things, but you have to do the right thing and trust God to set you apart and make you still thrive in the same market that seemingly doesn't seem to be equal. But I believe it is possible, and I believe all of us can do the right thing and live to be testimonies of what God can do through us. Amen.
Thank you. Amen. Thank you so much, Mrs. Katiso. Just on the side, what's the name of the plant besides you? Is that for people like me and who failed the botany and
so this plant has many names. The first name that someone told me that I thought was a funny name to have, it's a mother-in-law's tongue. I think Emma should have it. So the mother, they say it's very hard to kill. Okay, it's a very hard to kill plant, and if you kill it, then for you, I don't know what your issue is, but also it is an air purifying plant. So it brings air. I mean, it brings it purifies the air in the room. It has, it's a not air freshener, it's air purifying. It's an air
purifier.
Yeah, but also when it is happy, when the plant is happy, it gives you nice flowers, nice white flowers that have a very, very nice scent, like a perfume. Wow. Another name for it is Sansevieria. That's the name, that's a scientific name that you'll get. But the common name is mother-in-law's tongue. Some people call it a snake plant, but I don't like that name. But that's another name that you commonly find it with. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much.
It's a very low maintenance plant. If you were starting your plant collection journey, that is where you start from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And on that note,
where do we buy Maua from?
Yes.
Maua?
I thought the Uncle Bob said he's going to do it at the end of he said he's going to do a video. Even I heard him saying, I'm waiting for it. You can get Maua and more from Garden City. So Garden City, we have an outlet. When you're going towards Capital Shoppers at the basement, we have an outlet there. And when you're getting out of Mega Standard Supermarket, we have an outlet there as well. And 6 months ago, we opened at if you're on this other side of Metroplex Shopping Mall, we have an outlet there as well. So Emma, just bring your truck there and reload the plants.
Sorry, I muted myself. Paul has shared the link. If you want to follow up this conversation, and for some of those, you can copy this link, youtube.com/Luguza Paul, and the link is going to be dropped in there. Really, everyone is happy and thankful to you, Mrs. Katiso, for this great conversation. Thank you so very much. And thank you very much. I have some communication from the administration that this is the last series that we are having about the family enterprise. And I think our next conversation, I think we will be coming in on the 8th of June. So please save the date, and the communication will be made on the next set of conversations and topics that will be covered. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining this evening, and thank you for the team that organizes this. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Darlene. Thank you, Mrs. Katiso. Thank you. Thank you so much. We've come to the end, and as I end, I promised that I would show there's something small here of 1 minute, and hopefully I'm able to show it about Mao and Mo. So thank you so much for joining. This is going to be the last one. The Lord bless you and keep you, and have a good night. The conversation ends right after this one. Hopefully the sound is good.
We're not hearing anything though.
Oh, okay. Should be good.
That's good. Enlarge the screen.
If you want more of this, go to YouTube and look for Lillian Katiso and
do it, but it's not like realistic because
sorry about that. You can go to YouTube and check out the different videos that are over there. Thank you so very much. May God bless you and have a good night.